Brett Deering, Getty Images, Stillwater, Oklahoma. Should Baker Mayfield hoist the Heisman Trophy in New York City next month, the Oklahoma quarterback will likely look back on Saturday's 6,252 win over number 11 Oklahoma State as the turning point in his candidacy for college football's most prestigious award. He showed up at Boone-Pickens Stadium for the latest edition of the Bedlam Series rivalry, brimming with his usual swagger, wearing a new handlebar mustache and running routes as a wide receiver during pre-game warm-ups, catching passes in the end zone with one hand as if he was Odell Beckham Jr. Then he walked the walk, completing 24 of 36 passes for 5 touchdowns and a mind-bending 598 yards, a program record. Sophomore wide receiver Marquise Brown caught 9 of those passes for 2 touchdowns and 265 yards, another Sooners record and more than half of his season total entering the game. Yet those performances were saved by an Oklahoma defense that had been torched for much of the afternoon. With his team up by 3 with just more than 3 minutes remaining, Mayfield was intercepted in the end zone on a 3rd down. But the Oklahoma defense, which yielded 652 yards, forced only 3 punts and had allowed the Cowboys to convert each of the first 3 times it went for it on 4th down, came up with a crucial turnover on downs at the Oklahoma 38-yard line with 106 left. 2 plays later, Trey Sermon burst through the line for 53 yards and one last touchdown to keep the Sooners' college football playoff goals and the Mayfield Heisman hopes intact. Both of those ambitions were bolstered on a day of upsets across college football, although this performance by Mayfield and the Sooners was impressive enough to render that help irrelevant. Mayfield outdueled Oklahoma State quarterback Mason Rudolph, who was hardly a slouch in passing for 437 yards and 5 touchdowns and pulling his team within 3 points twice in the second half, including with an 18-yard touchdown pass to Tyron Johnson that made it 5,552 with just under 10 minutes remaining. The betting over-under for this game was set at 76 earlier this week, but that was reached by halftime with a score tied at 38. Mayfield and Rudolph each threw for 3 touchdowns in a half that featured 857 yards of total offense. For a while, it seemed as if the Football Bowl subdivision record of 1,708 combined yards in a game, set in 2016 between Oklahoma and Texas Tech, was in jeopardy. In light of that, perhaps the most stunning part of the first half was that Oklahoma opted to run out the clock out inside its own territory with more than 30 seconds remaining. But both teams made the defensive adjustments in the locker room and forced each other to punt on the first 2 drives of the second half. Yet it was the gunslinger Mayfield who looked the most patient. He had thrown an interception on his second pass earlier in the day, and after that mistake, he didn't press against Oklahoma State's porous defense. Rudolph's first major mistake of the second half came on the second drive of the half from his own 1-yard line, when Oklahoma State defensive lineman Kenneth Mann stripped him. The ball hung in the air and was intercepted by linebacker Ogbonnia Okoronkwo. That led to a field goal. Rudolph's second major mistake of the half came on a 1st and goal from the 3, when he telegraphed a slant into double coverage and was picked off in the end zone by Sooners defensive back Will Johnson. 2 plays later, Mayfield hit running back Rodney Anderson on a wide-open wheel route for a 43-yard touchdown to give Oklahoma a 4,838 lead with 12 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. Rudolph responded, hitting Johnson for a 33-yard touchdown to cut it back to 3, but Mayfield upstaged his rival 2 plays later again with 77-yard touchdown throw to wide receiver Marquise Brown with 11:43 remaining in the 4th quarter. He responded by running the length of his sideline, high-stepping and clapping hands with his coaches and teammates, celebrating yet another Heisman-type moment in an afternoon filled with them. After Oklahoma State had cut it to 5,552, Mayfield converted several crucial 3rd downs on Oklahoma's ensuing drive, but he was picked off in the end zone on another 3rd down pass that gave Oklahoma State renewed hope. Rudolph had appeared to throw an interception on the next drive, but Oklahoma was called for a targeting penalty before the ball was picked. It didn't matter. Oklahoma's defense held on a 4th and 8 with just over a minute remaining. Read more from the Post. He's still stealing from us. That little sawed-off SOB. Nick Saban's long shadow lingers at LSU Virginia Tech Miami game might be enough to reawaken an old rivalry. The turnover chain is so Miami Hurricanes. But is the record fool's gold? Lane Kiffin jokes about points spread after FAU fails to cover thanks to wacky ending. Navy falls at Temple for its third consecutive defeat. Let's hope the coaches on the College Football Playoff Committee don't vote like coaches.